Thokozani Noma here. Welcome to Learning with Noma, your home of comprehensive learning and healing. I am Noma. We are here to change our lives one lesson at a time. Today I'm talking about consultations. When should we have consultations? Why should we have consultations? And even maybe just include the who should you be consulting with. So I've done a few lessons already in the classroom about consultation. One being tips on how to prepare for a spiritual consultation. Two being on what to expect in a spiritual consultation with Noma. And those videos links will be in the description below this one. So yeah, why do we consult? The reasons for consultation. Remember that I am going to be sharing from my own lived experiences, meaning that the reasons why people have come to me for consultation, but above all, the reasons why I have gone out and sought a spiritual consultation myself. For me, when it comes to the when, I have a standard that at the beginning of the year, and for me, beginning being the 1st of Jan, as much as I do acknowledge and celebrate your Basotho calendar, your African calendar, but for me, when I say the beginning of the year for my consultation, it will be the 1st of Jan, and then for now it's still the 1st of Jan, and then towards the end of the year, usually around October. And I've got my own reasons why that month in particular. So you can also have that, like a set standard to say at the beginning of the year, I'll just go and have a consultation for guidance. At the end of the year, I'll have a consultation for guidance. And then the reasons that I'm about to also share with you are those that will then force me or that will direct for me to have a consultation outside of the 2 times that I have that I have just mentioned. One of the biggest for me, or one of the most important reasons for me to seek a spiritual consultation is for guidance. When I seek guidance, and this can be guidance in terms of decision making, me trying to say, okay, which decision am I going to make in this decision? Which direction am I going in? Am I going to study full time? Am I studying part time? Am I working full days? Am I not? All those kinds. So life-changing decisions, I definitely do a spiritual consultation if I feel a little bit stuck or overwhelmed or feel like there's too many options that look good. And it's a multiple choice. Those who've been to UNISA, it's a multiple choice, but all the answers seem correct. And now you're just like, I know there's just that one thing that I need to pick up from the statement that will show me or that will tell me which one is correct. Then the other important thing that so mainly with guidance, it will be about decision making, but also with assistance in transitioning. When there's transitions that are happening in my life changing transitions, whether it is, for an example, me being pregnant, I had to go and seek a spiritual consultation. One, because also some of these things that we do and we seek spiritual consultations from healers, it's things that were done by elders in our family. And me making an example of pregnancy, usually when a woman is pregnant in the family, elders in the family that would then go emsamo, and they would go and introduce the pregnancy to abantu abadala, even acknowledge, you would say, hey, we see you are bringing us somebody, and ask from abantu abadala who is coming, and that's why most of us, you find that in our cultures, the name would be given even before the gender of a child is known. So already, that's about Thabo or Mandwa, even before the baby is born. Hence, we never had the male, female names. Puseletso, the one who's going to return to the family what was lost. So yeah, it's one of those things. When I've got a big life decision, if there's a big transition that is taking place in my life, one that I feel is not just change but it's going to be transformative, I always go and seek spiritual advice so that I get clarity about the life path that I'm on. This is to also help with the life path. I believe it's also to help bring me back into my true essence and to help me align better with my purpose. Because sometimes, yes, you hear them, they come, they give you messages, but the messages are riddles, and that's where we talk about dream interpretation or interpretation of messages from Abantu Abadala, meaning that you understand the spiritual messages. So you go for a spiritual consultation in order for you to understand the messages that they've been given to you, or to even confirm that what you have been interpreting or how you've been interpreting those messages is actually correct. And for me personally, in my space, dream interpretation or interpretation of messages from Abantu Abadala is a consultation on its own, one that we do via voice note. So if you do need more information on dream interpretation, please do let me know. You can just WhatsApp dream interpretation and I'll give you information. We don't even make appointments. You send me a voice note of the dream and I interpret the dream for you at a fee in private. For those that are seeking dream interpretation for free, you can go to my TikTok channel. I do mainly, if not it's mainly dream interpretation on that platform. So dream interpretation in itself and those messages, because when I say messages from ancestors, it might be that you find now in conversation with people, they are gravitating you towards one kind of topic. When you're scrolling through your phone, you are finding that you're only seeing certain animals, or you're only seeing certain messages, maybe such messages that are talking about self-awareness. Some are talking about self-care, shadow work, inner child healing, all those kind of things. And you can see now this is not just Google, this is not just Instagram playing reels. There's something, there's a force behind the actions that I'm seeing, because remember, spirit will communicate with whatever is at our disposal in the physical realm. It evolves, it adjusts. So one of the reasons for you to seek a spiritual consultation will be to help you understand those spiritual messages from your ancestors that seem to be riddling you at the time. Another thing for me is to improve in my relation to others. I seek spiritual consultations to also find guidance in my physical relationships. As much as it is about understanding and aligning with my ancestors, with my higher self, and understanding the essence of my core, of my existence, my purpose, returning back to self and really saying, this is who I am in spirit and this is how I am aligned, and everything that I do in the physical. But it is also important for us to remember we are physical beings and we are here, we have relationships with others. So for me personally, as Noma, in consultations, I also like to ask if I am still on the right track in terms of relating to those that are in my space, my patients, because we are healers, yes, but I cannot be a healer that looks at self and see perfection. There's always room for improvement, especially where relationships are involved. Even now, just recently, I had to pause and I had to take a step back and I had to really seek spiritual guidance in terms of my relationship with my patients, because you have to be accepting of feedback. You have to be accepting of critical, constructive feedback. And at times we take things and we become too emotional. We take them personally. But at the end of the day, I was happy that whatever feedback I got, I received and it came back. And I needed to do some introspection, which I did. And I'm glad that I did that, because right now there's so many things that I am implementing in my space that maybe I would have thought, no, I can still postpone it. I'm okay, had this feedback not been given. So when you are in a relationship with people, it is also important to go. That's why when they come on Dumbeng, the first question is he the one for me? Is she the one for me? Well, you need to understand it's not just about the romantic relationships, but also your work relationship, your relationship with your parents, your relationship with your siblings, your relationship even with your neighbors and people around you. So it is for one of the the reasons why you could just go and seek a spiritual consultation, or one of the things that could come up could be your relation to others in a spiritual consultation. Another one that talks to me, or one of the reasons why I would go for a spiritual consultation, is if I'm facing a problem, or I see a repeated cycle in my life, and I'd like to get to the root cause. Because at times we think it's a physical thing that is happening and we don't see any spiritual attachments, but you find that actually there is a deeper meaning. There's a spiritual meaning to it. And when you are looking at how can I solve this physically, can do the root cause, it is actually a spiritual blockage. Those who've been in my space, they know we talk about energy centers a lot, because I do Reiki. I do a lot of energy work, so we talk about the energy centers, the chakras, a lot. And at times you might find that you are not able to express yourself because there's a blockage in your throat chakra, and the throat chakra is blocked because you're not accepting of who you are at your core. And therefore we need to work on the heart chakra to actually get to open the throat chakra. Sometimes you might find that things, and you are overwhelmed with anxiety because you're not even listening to your intuition. You are not able to trust yourself. There's lack of self-confidence. So we need to go to, when you need to go to the root cause, and this can also be as we talk about root cause, taking a new perspective on a physical illness or ailment that seem to be in your space but is not being solved by the Western side. There's people who have come to me and they've been diagnosed with diabetes, they've been diagnosed with hypertension, they're on treatment. And please, I'm Sister Noma. Once someone has started their treatment, they still continue with the doctor, they will still be under doctor's review. But you find that even when they've been diagnosed with diabetes, when they've been diagnosed with hypertension, and I'm going to say this too because they're the most common, we can go deeper into your renal failures even, but when they've been diagnosed with this chronic conditions, they are not getting better even on chronic medication. So the medication has been given, the doses have been changed over and over. They are going for follow-ups every week, but nothing is improving. They're being hospitalized. Then we need to take a different look at this thing to say, okay, it is manifesting in the physical realm, but what could be the root cause, and how deep is it at a spiritual level? One of the things that I always say to people is as a healer, both Western and in the indigenous sense, what I've come to realize is that your chronic conditions are in 80, if I'm going, to be extreme about it, 80% of the time related to the imbalances in the spiritual realm. And one of the biggest things that we do when you come in the medical side and you are diagnosed with all these chronic conditions, the first thing, even before we're going to discuss medication and we talk about lifestyle modification, and diet becomes the first thing that we talk about. Your diet, we start reducing sugar, we start reducing salt, no oil, like we take you to dijo tsa badimo. We give you a spiritual diet, and that is when you're going to find people having their third eye open up, and they will start telling you how they started dreaming, or how they started connecting more, and they started seeing their ancestors and receiving messages, and even being open to just walking in the street and somebody saying, hey, listen, I've got a spiritual message for you. Because sometimes I get surprised, but it still happens in 2025. So yeah, Thokozani, topic for another day for me. We've been there, done that, and I know that for different people in different stages of their spiritual journeys, we do go through a stage where our portals are forever open and any spirit can just come and connect, and then we just tell people ditaba tsa bona ko strateng. So that's when people start saying, since I've started this treatment, since I've gone to the doctor, I don't know what's happening. I'm dreaming a lot, I'm sleeping better. Kanti, it's not actually the medicine, but it is the diet in which one is now eating. It is also about the saying that you need to exercise, you need to take a walk outside. So now, instead of sitting and watching TV, you are taking 1 hour walk around the neighborhood, being exposed to sunlight, being exposed to fresh air, being exposed to nature, something outside of screen time. And that opens up your third eye and your spiritual portal. Therefore, you start aligning better and receiving messages from your ancestors. So that could be one of the reasons for us to really get to the root cause of a problem by identifying the spiritual blockage and also looking at physical ailments or illnesses from a spiritual perspective. Also, with the root cause, it is important for us to acknowledge that we are wounded. We are wounded, directly, indirectly, bloodline called, but we all carry wounds, and you can go for a spiritual consultation to seek guidance on how to heal generational trauma and wounds, and also how to heal personal trauma and wounds, going to heal the inner child, going to shadow work, working on self, that self-awareness exercises or activities, being involved in things that are going to build self and to heal self. I'm just trying to think of any other decision or any other reason that has made me to go to a spiritual consultation. Like I said, for me, dream interpretation is a consultation on its own. It is, and we will talk about types of spiritual consultations that I have classified in my space. Maybe in the next lesson, to say what are the types of spiritual consultations that one can go with. But I think I've said most of my reasons. I said guidance, for us to receive guidance, for you to understand and align better with your higher self and your ancestors, for you to help improve your relationships by identifying your role in your relationships, for us to go to the root cause of the problem, for us to help be directed in our decision making, even in those times when we are experiencing major life transitions. We go for spiritual consultation to help navigate those major life-changing decisions, or life-changing decisions in our spaces. I think I've basically, to heal our emotions and to heal the wounds of yesterday, the bloodline, and even the wounds of us at a personal stage. But again, you can simply just go for a spiritual consultation because you want to hear from spirit. I have people, for me, when people say, when should I come? Don't wait for things to fall apart. If you come for the first consultation with me, we unpack a lot of things. But one of the first, for me, the most important thing in the first consultation is to say to Abantu Abadala, please prioritize what is important, because you can come with 20 problems, but we cannot solve all 20 problems at the same time. And you might find that all 20 problems, it's actually 3 problems, others are related to another. So I always try to say, please Bantu Abadala, highlight, and then give us the highlight to say the reason why your relationships are not working out. It is because this is the root cause. Because when we go to the root cause, then we know that everything else will automatically fall into place. And me saying this also just to say that when you go for a spiritual consultation, one of the biggest intentions that you must put forth is to say, I need to find self. I need to heal self. The blaming, the victimhood needs to get out of our systems. When you enter into a spiritual consultation, please, Badimu child, let your intention be about self. Please help me find myself, help me return to my essence, help me understand my purpose. And when I talk about spiritual blockages, yes, this could be energies that are sent to you, but those who have been in my space, they know I don't concentrate on the person. I don't concentrate on Noma being the one who's jealous about you at work. I concentrate on the energy, because if Noma was not there, that energy of Istrito or the energy of Umona so I always talk about energy. What energy is your child being faced with, what energy is attacking your child. Because if I remove the person, and that is why sometimes you find yourself fighting enemy after enemy after enemy, like they're going to be jealous of you, they're going to want to destroy you, they don't want to see you improve. Now you fought Noma, tomorrow you're going to fight somebody else, and then the next week when you've defeated them, so you're forever fighting. But if we deal with the energy and we protect you as a person, then we've gone to the root cause, and we know that now even with your relationships, you will get people who will be in alignment with the energy of prosperity and of life for you. So that is just me, Gognoma. We deal with energy in my space, and we don't deal with people as such. Because even when we find that Noma is doing this to you, we also need to, for me, I'm also very much centered in, when I heal you, may I please heal 5 others through you. If this is the energy that is using Noma, how do we then help Noma to get out of that bondage? I'm not about return back to sender, all those kind of things. So yes, if you're looking for those, please go somewhere else. One of the biggest things for me when it comes to a spiritual consultation is for me to find peace. I need peace of mind. When I get out of a consultation, I need to have peace of mind, because I would have been given reassurance, I would have been comforted, I would have been reassured that my ancestors are there with me, they're protecting me, my spiritual guides are there with me, and they're going to guide me, they're going to strengthen me in difficult times. So I want to get out of a consultation having received emotional stability and not being instilled with anxiety and questions more than answers, and a list of how many ancestors want goats and how many want cows and others chickens. My consultations are very person-centered, and yes, when we go to the root cause, it might be that your grandfather did 1, 2, 3, and in order for us to heal you, we need to heal it from a generation back. An example I'll make with for women, abortion, where you find that you had an abortion, but only for us in a consultation to actually reveal that no, it's not, you're not the first person to do this. Your great grandmother did it, because in the olden days, women didn't have contraceptives. And yes, some did. I mean, you have 10 children, some of them didn't survive because it was a miscarriage, but truth be told, some of them were intentionally aborted, because a woman would look and say, I will not manage if I have another child now. Or the elders would have said, Musadi, no, this one, they can't survive. And those were things that were keeping hidden and secret. And now you come and you find that, Entlolweni, we're not just saying you, but it's your mom, it's your sister, it's your sister's it is your cousin. Like, all the females in the bloodline are experiencing the same thing. So even when we heal you, we're no longer just concentrating on healing the wound that you carry, but we're healing a generational, they call it a curse, but yeah, I'll say a generational wound. So yes, I didn't want this video to be long. I said I've got 20 minutes. So those for me are the reasons why a person will go for a consultation. Please, Badimo child, if you have your own reasons why you do go for a spiritual consultation, please do leave the reason in the comment section below. It might resonate with someone, and it might be guidance or even reason for someone to stand up and seek the spiritual consultation. So to whom do you go and consult with? I love the age that we live in, this era, because there's so much online, there's so many goggles online. For me, I always say, take your time, study Gog Noma, feel my energy. I've had people who resonate with me from the first video, and you know what, I'm blessed to have that. But I know that there's people who have said, Gogo, I wrote your name 2 years ago, and I've been to 10 healers, consulted before I got to you. But there's always one thing that they all say in common: I am glad that I only came 2 years later, after going through all the other people and everything that I went through in the 2 years, because the message that you're sharing with me today would not resonate if I had come back then. So, but Dimo child, please remember that when you are seeking a spiritual consultation, from that point of departure, include your ancestors, include your spiritual guides. Tell them that I seek a spiritual consultation. Please guide me to a healer that will be relevant for these problems, for the version of me right now, and the healer that will be able to help me navigate to be a better person in my life. And like I always say to everybody that is in my space, please let's not hold on to each other even when our season has ended. At the end of the day, when you come into my space as my patient, you are coming for the season and the reasons that your ancestors have brought forth for us. But when those reasons and that season is over, it is okay for you to move on to another healer. And it is also expected for me to be okay with you. I've got people who came and consulted. This is what's been happening in the past month, like the month of Feb, where I was actually being revisited by people that says, Gogo, you don't remember me? I consulted in 2021. Gogo, you don't remember me? I consulted in 2022. And I'm like, yo, I don't even remember you. And everything happened, but I also had to take a detour. And that is okay, Badimu child. For me, who do you consult with? A healer that is relevant for your season at that time, a healer that will be able to provide for your needs at that time, a healer that your ancestors guide you to for the season of your life that you are in. It doesn't always have to be Gognoma. And sometimes you can come and consult with me, and that is where it ends, a consultation, and I'm not the person who will then give the treatment moving forth. So please be very open, be a clean slate when it comes to who and when you're going to have the consultation, because at times we are anxious and we want to go consult this week, but our ancestors are not even yet done with giving us the messages that they need to give to us. And when you get into a consultation, then the consultation doesn't make sense. It only aggravates the anxiety feelings, all because you also seeked the consultation too soon. My advice, 3-day prayer at least. You can even go to an extent of 7-day prayer. Write the reasons why you seek the spiritual consultation. Find a healer or 2-3 healers online. Write their names. Ask your guides to help you with that. But again, like I said, there are people who've been in it for a while and who will look at this video and say, this is the person that I've been seeking. Please do go to my website, learningwithnoma.com, and make your booking online. All the prices for different consultations are there, your virtual and your face-to-face. If you've got any questions, you can always send me a WhatsApp on 079-910-8841. No history giving. Please strictly say Thokoza Gogo. Read the messages that welcome you and follow instructions. No history giving. The only thing I need from you, it will be your name, your paternal surname, and your maternal surname, and then we allow spirit to lead, because at the end of the day, we are saying you are coming for a spiritual consultation. Another important thing that I always, and this you will see on the tips of how to prepare for a consultation, I always advise for you to write your questions down, and do not feel afraid to ask in a consultation. Gone are the days where we are saying, my say is always, you're not asking me, but you're asking spirit, because I am sitting here as a medium, as a mediator, as a middleman, as someone, as a medium medium to say, spirit, here is your child, these are the inquiries. So please, when you go for a consultation, have your questions, write them down, and my advice, do not be afraid to ask. At the end of the day, you're not interrogating Gogo, but you are asking for clarity from the ancestors with whom I have connected with. I hope that this video has helped you, and I hope that you find value in the information that is shared. If you have not yet, please click the subscribe button, like the video. In this classroom, a lesson learned is a lesson shared. So please share. And Badimu child, if you are here in the classroom for a while and you found value in the classroom, please click the join button for only 99 Rand a month. There is a community that I'm building. Things are already building up in the community. You can already see here on the channel, if you look at some videos, they're saying members only. So if you want that exclusive, raw, unfiltered lessons from Gognoma, you can also join just 99 Rand a month. There is so much more to come in the community. I'm Gognoma. Thank you for being here with me. Until the next lesson, Lisedi.